Hi guys, it's Tim from airtightindustries.com again. Today I did it. I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I made a full-scale mock-up of a window liner and casing, the way I commonly do it. I get friends asking me all the time that are about to try tackling the trim in their own place, and they want some guidance. I try and describe all these steps, and sometimes it gets a little difficult. So for all you guys that have been redirected to the website or YouTube to check it out, this is for you. So without any other ado, let's get to the guts of it. First, let's identify what we've got here. So I've got here a window liner and casing, and the liner is the inner part, and this part is the part that gets butted against the window. So in this case, we have a stool. This stool is has horns, and the stool is a projection that's greater than the liner. And so it projects out here, and the horn is from here to here. And this is the reveal on the stool. I usually make the reveal on the stool and the reveal on the horn the same distance. This is arbitrary. You can do whatever you want here. When it comes to making a window liner, let's take a look at the back. So one key step is when you're building your liner components, you want to gang cut your material. So cut this piece and this piece at the same time. And remember that measurement. And cut the top and the bottom at the same time, unless you're building a window liner with a stool, which we covered earlier, because it's going to use a wider piece. But use your top piece as a pattern for your bottom piece. So when I build a stool liner, I take the top piece, put it on the bottom piece, and then I mark the side a little bit at the front and follow that through. And that's how I know where to cut and how to cut the window stool. And then that way, this piece from here to here is equal to this piece from here to here. These have been gang cut, so everything's square when it's put together. Another thing I should touch on is the size of your window liner is the same size as your window. So you measure your window, or you use the window packing slip, and you can deduce what size to make all your window liners from that. That's one little production tip. Screw your window liners together. You don't have to. Sometimes I use staples. But if it's hardwood or fir or stain grade, you pre-drill and screw works great. Keeps it real tight forever. Staples work good. Don't ever use MDF. I used MDF for this mock-up, and the reason I used it is because I wanted to show you why. First, MDF doesn't stand up to water, and it splits. And so it doesn't matter whether you use screws, staples, or brad nails, it's going to split it. It's not going to stay together, and it's not going to remain tight. And of course, it's going to be water stained, and it's going to be a mess in no time. And so for all the effort, it's not worth it. Anyway, so then on the front here, as you can see from the back, I've glued my miters on my window casing. So now my casing is a 3-part casing because it's sitting on a window stool. And the 3-part casing is pretty common at this time for me. It seems to be what people are doing. This dimension is called the reveal, and that's from the inside of the liner to the edge of the casing. This is a 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch is kind of special because if it's going to match your doors and you're going to use a heavy stock, like 3/4 like this, if it's matching your doors, to put a door catch in, a door catch comes and wraps over a 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch is kind of the minimum clearance. And of course, in the real world, you would brad nail your casing to your liner. But in this case, I haven't. And the reason I haven't is because I wanted to show you how strong this 2P10 glue that I use is. And I'll just come back here, and you can see I'm able to manipulate these glued together casings quite a bit. And this is how I build it. So I will glue my casing together. If it's 3-part, I'll have these 3 pieces. If it was a complete picture frame, and the bottom liner wasn't projected into a window stool and was the same as the sides, then I would have a 4-part. And I would just hold it up, and you can get a perfect reveal that way. If it's a big window, like 6 feet wide or whatever, you can take and put a center mark on both your casing and your liner, and you can line it up and put it right in the middle. And that's one little tip that works well. Anyway, what else can I touch on? I've put a little crown molding underneath, which is quite common. And your crown molding should line up with the edge of your casing. So whatever your outside casing to outside casing dimension is what your crown should be. And of course, you want to return your crowns. You don't want to have raw cuts on your crowns. I've got raw cuts here and here, which is just because I did it fast. But this would usually be a finished molding, and this is often just sanded. I have in the past mitered and returned them, and sometimes you have to do that if you get into some different stock. But for today's demonstration and for a lot of common applications, a straight cut will leave you a more finished product as long as you pre-sand it. And with talking about sanding, one key thing to point out is that on the back side of your liner, you want to bevel this. And this has been put through the table saw. I use 7 degrees. I know people that have used 10 and 15, but 7 works well. And the reason you want to bevel it is you want to leave a sharper edge here. And this allows you to push it tight against the window and get a very tight fit. But with that being said, unless you take and put maybe 3 light passes of sandpaper on here, it's going to leave a feathered edge, and it's never going to look finished against the window. Painter can't help you out here. He doesn't want to caulk this. He wants you to get it tight. And the reason he doesn't want to caulk it is because it only looks good once if it's caulked, and it only looks good for about 10 minutes because paint starts creeping and whatever. But if you can get this lightly sanded to take the jaggers off of and then press tight against the window, it's going to be the sharpest, most professional looking finish that you can ask for. And of course, in a stain grade situation where this stock is all wood, you can't caulk it. So that's one little tip, is to back cut your liner and fit it tightly. And there's tricks for that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but you can manipulate your liner when you're installing it. Of course, liner goes in first, and your casing goes on second, and your crowns go on last. Anyway, this is Tim for airtightindustries.com. If you have any questions or comments, leave them. Check me out on my website. And I hope this helps you out on your next project as you tackle your interior finishing.